Hello, Sweet Tooth here. I hope your day is going well. Gonna play some more Katawa Shoujo. I finally got onto Act 2. This is where it starts getting good. Because now we're past all the introductions. We're past all the other stuff. It's about to get emotional. And I'm already on Hanako's path to befriending her. So, it's gonna get really emotional now. My alarm blares into my ears, only to be swiftly silenced by my fist. My body switches into auto mode, carrying my subconscious self out of bed and into my uniform. As always, my bottle of pills sit on my desk patiently, waiting for me to take them and pick out my daily dosage of medicine, 17 pills a day. Before I know it, I'm opening the door to Class 3-3, glad to see that I'm not the only one who seems to be a little hungover from festival week. Every face in the classroom looks gaunt. With the festival now over, it's as if everyone's life dreams have been achieved. With nothing left to live for, the students have relied on instincts alone to guide them to class. Or maybe I'm just reading too much into it. I slowly make my way to my seat, and it's only then that I realize why the room is so peaceful. The seats beside mine are blissfully empty. The world's loudest interpreter for the deaf has yet to arrive. Ah! Just as I'm about to sit down, the door flies open, revealing a resplendent Misha. Drills bobbing from the dramatic entrance and arms stretched towards the sky. Yahoo! It's all over! It would appear that not everyone is affected by the post-festival depression. The rest of the class glare at her, obviously thinking the same thing I am. Misha, still frozen in the doorway with her arms still in the air, nervously looks around. It's obvious that she senses the foul mood, but can't work out exactly what to do. Suddenly, she jerks forward. Hey! As she stumbles into the classroom, she reveals Shaizun, arm still extended from where she shoved Misha. Thanks for the entertainment, but shouldn't you two take your seats? Still slightly embarrassed, Misha takes a few seconds to realize she has to translate. Oh, yeah, Shi-chan says she's not happy with you ditching us last week. We were really busy. Is that so? What about the other stuff? The stuff I already did for you two? She says that only counts for council members. Since you declined, she doesn't owe you anything. Misha leans closer and whispers conspiratorially into my ear. Actually, I think she's just a little sore that you didn't spend the day with her. She's really thankful for your work last week, though. Sensing that she is being talked about, Shaizun lightly wraps her fingers on her desk until Misha turns around to face her. I can't understand any of the fast-paced signing that's going on, but from Shaizun's slightly embarrassed expression and Misha's poorly contained laughter, I can guess. While this exchange is happening, the door opens once again, and this time at a much more reasonable pace. Hanako quietly enters the room and pulls the door closed behind her. Peering out from under her hair, she quickly scans the classroom. Our eyes meet, and she suddenly stiffens. She closes her eyes, takes a deep breath, and then walks over to my desk. Good morning, Hasao. Morning, Hanako. You're a little late, aren't you? I was talking to Lily about today. Ah, so you got her list then. We can leave straight after classes in that case. Sure. I'm looking forward to it. Hanako briefly flashes her embarrassed smile at me, then hurries off to her seat. During classes, it becomes apparent that it's not only the students that are a little despondent after the festival. Utao simply gives us a list of her exercises from the textbook, and then sits behind his desk. I totally forget about the brief lunch period for a moment. Such is the banality of the day. It's mind-numbing, and everyone seems surprised when the bells signal the end of the lessons. As I am packing up my bag, Shaizun and Misha flank and entrap me. Say, Hee-chan, it's still not too late to join up. There's a lot of post-festival paperwork for us to complete. Sorry, Misha, I've got plans. As if sensing the cue, Hanako appears behind me, holding a small bag, and trying to avoid contact with the outside world. Misha's eyes opened wide, then she burst into laughter. You move fast, don't you, Hee-chan? We won't disturb your date any further. Behind the roaring Misha, I see Shaizun taking far too little interest in the scene. I might be taking this the wrong way, but I think she's deliberately ignoring me. I feel a gentle tug on my shirt and turn to see Hanako's eyes fixed firmly on the floor. That's... Gotcha. Shaizun, Misha, I'll see you later. And I'm still not interested in the council. Spoil sport. Misha and Shaizun retreat into the hallway, happily signing to each other. Got all your stuff? Let's head off. Floods of students pour out of the school gates and onto the road into town. It's a little weird. It's almost a scene from any other high school, but the illusion fades because of the occasional wheelchair or missing limb. One thing I do notice is that nobody is alone. And as Hanako and I pass through the gates, I notice that she closes the distance between us. Not enough to be considered close, but she certainly isn't at her usual just a little far position. I guess we're not familiar enough for her to get as close as she does with Lily. However, even though she has moved a little closer to me physically, mentally she seems to have traveled a mile. Her hands clutch around the leather straps of her bag to the point of whitening her knuckles, her head down and her mouth pursed closed. She almost looks like she's being walked to the principal's office for the first time. I try to stifle a giggle at the thought, but it is futile. What's the matter? I guess there's no point in hiding it. Sorry, for a second there, it looked like you were getting into trouble. What do you mean? I think you need to relax a little. We're not going too far, and it's only students around, right? Right. It bothers me a little to see Hanako so worked up. And you do this every week, don't you? Yes, with Lily. Of course, with Lily. I wonder, has she ever left the school without her? It doesn't seem like much at first glance, but Hanako's dependence on Lily is absurdly heavy. If she can't even handle leaving the school without her, how would she have managed to survive if the two had never met? Would she have found someone else to latch onto? And what drew her to Lily? Was it her lack of eyesight, or was Lily just kind enough to lend a hand? I wonder if anyone would have fit the bill. Well, I'm here. Besides, we're not going far. It'll be over before you know it. Hanako's knuckles slowly regain their color as she tries to hide a small smile, but the effort of that seems to prevent further conversation. We travel side by side down the winding road towards the town. The crowd of students thins as we continue along the sidewalk. Faster students rush ahead and the less mobile ones fall behind, rarefying the crowd into nothingness. By the time we reach the convenience store, we are practically alone. Using me as a shield between herself and the attendant, Hanako moves through the narrow aisles, adding an assortment of items to her basket. Bread, milk, tea, dime? What kind of convenience store sells herbs? Then again, nothing about this town seems normal, which may not be such a bad thing in retrospect. Everything is so different and uncomfortable. Dwelling on such matters isn't really an option. When I think about that, it reminds me of Hanako. No matter how much you try, you can't escape her scars. They still interrupt my train of thought when I see them. As much as I don't want to admit it to myself, I think I'm forcing myself to try to ignore them. Not that I am scar-free myself. The jagged line down my sternum will never completely fade away. I just have the luxury of being able to hide it easily. But in a way, both of our scars reminds me that we're all in this place for a reason. Hanako throws one last item into her basket, then sheepishly holds it out to me along with a few banknotes. Could you, please? It takes me a second to understand what she's trying to say. Oh, you want me to pay for this? She nods but doesn't look up. I guess this task falls to Lily on the usual occasions. Sure, let me just grab a couple of things. Hastily, I grab a few essential items for myself and head for the counter with Hanako in close tow. The attendant gives me an indifferent nod as he scans the items. I suppose just ignoring us is one way to deal with the anomalies of Yamaku. They must get a lot of students here, being the closest store to the school. The staff must all have their own way of dealing with us. Or maybe they don't. Maybe it's only me who thinks twice about my unique schoolmate. It's only you. Our transaction complete, Hanako and I head back out into the street. The road is pretty much abandoned now. The students that were heading out have already left and nobody has started returning just yet. And with only the school ahead on the road, there doesn't seem to be anyone else around. The emptiness certainly reflects on Hanako, her arms by her sides, each carrying a bag, her head no longer bowed, and back to the upright position. It's almost as if she were enjoying the spot. So why all these weird things? Mixed spice? Why would you need that in school? I sometimes like to make food. Well, yeah, so do I, but spices? That's a little more advanced, don't you think? Not really. Well, I think it's cool. You'll have to teach me one day. Sure. She doesn't seem all that sure, but pushing the point doesn't seem all that wise. At the very least, she seems a great deal happier than she did on the walk down here. That alone makes me a little happier. Outside the girls' dorm, Hanako and I sort out the grocery bags with our respective purchases. In comparison, my things look positively plain. I tell you, you're putting me to shame here. No, I'm not. I'm only joking. I have a stack of homework that I skipped last week, so I'm asleep now. Will you be alright getting that to your room? Yeah. Sure? Okay then, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. We part ways and I return to my room. Piles of papers sit upon my desk begging to be completed. With the entire ruckus of the last week, I barely had any time to catch up. I tried to keep up with my studies while I was in the hospital, but some of this stuff I've never seen before, even back in my old school. Totally unprepared, I pop the top on a can of drink and get back to work. Load screen. The days are really starting to heat up. This morning I woke and covered in sweat. By the time the student body starts leaving their dorms for breakfast and morning duties, the sun has taken full effect. Oddly, that puts me in high spirits. It's not even 8, yet I feel that this day is going to be one of those pleasant, tranquil, warm ones. If I weren't at a school that considered every absence from class as a sign of life-threatening situation, I'd consider skipping the whole day and just relaxing in the school gardens. Yes, today will be a genuinely lazy day. For a second, I stop in mid-stretch and consider the nurse's warning about exercise. Maybe I should have kept up these morning jogs. Running with someone like Emmy might have been a little testing, but if I worked at my own pace, who am I kidding? I couldn't stick to something like that without some kind of motivation. It's not like I sit around all day. The walk to and from the convenience store counts as exercise, right? Especially the walk back up the hill. Yeah, it's no big deal. Compared to months lying in a hospital bed, I'm getting plenty exercise. It seems that I'm not alone in my appreciation of the day. Nearly every member of the class is glancing through the window and into the tantalizing sky. Even the steadfast Shizune seems to lack her usual vigor for schoolwork. Misha, as brazen as ever, has even unbuttoned the top buttons of her shirt and is fanning herself with a notebook. I must have been staring, as she's now sticking her tongue out at me. However, she shows no signs of halting her efforts, nor is she trying to hide the fact. The lunch bell seemed to catch everyone by surprise, and the class empties at a much slower pace than usual. The heat seems to be draining the need to rush from everyone. Well, almost everyone. Miss Al? Hey there, Hanako. What can I do for you today? Hanako already has a lunch bag in her hand. I don't have to be a detective to work out where this is going. Would you like to have lunch with us again? I brought enough for everyone. Awesome. You don't have to be so stiff about it, though. Ah, right. I take it we're going to the tea room? Please. Lily said she'll meet us in there, so we should go ahead together. Sounds like a plan. This heat has made me pretty hungry. What? Pretty angry. Hanako breathes a sigh of relief, and I gather my things together. As usual, the aura of the tea room is refreshing, feeling isolated from the rest of the world. Then again, the usual din of the school seems to be a bit subdued, most likely from laziness promoted by heat exhaustion. Hanako slowly spreads her food on the table, intently focusing on every little movement, as if she's trying to keep her mind off other things. It's not much, but I can tell from her demeanor that she has prepared everything with utmost care. I guess Lily isn't here yet. Should we start without her? She'll be here soon. Hanako struggles with the lid of the container of rice. Here, let me help with that. I take the container from Hanako's hands and try to force open the lid. Try as I might, it seems wedged shut. Let me guess. Did you put this in while the rice was still hot? Yes, I was in a rush. I put the container on the table between us. I thought so. It looks like this is wedged shut. We'll need some hot water to get it open. But that could be a pain in here. We'd get water everywhere. Well, in that case, how about I contribute to today's meal? At the door, Lily smiles while holding up a bag stocked with various buns and bread rolls. I can't help but do the same. Since you two had a change of plans because of me, I thought I would bring a little something. Thanks, Lily. Here, let me get that for you. With a little guidance, Lily's bread assortment joins Hanako's rice-less platter. I hastily make some tea to complete the picture. Well, I'm looking forward to this. As I take a bite, I notice Hanako trying her hardest to not look like she's looking at me. It's nothing special, but then again, I can't really complain. I'm pretty lazy when it comes to cooking for myself. Not bad, I guess. This is made with the stuff you bought yesterday? Yes. Hanako's eyes shout at me, begging for some kind of feedback. Well, it was clearly worth it. Thanks, Hanako. I wanted to show you this after yesterday. It's okay. I was just a little surprised at the stuff you were buying. Hanako has always liked to experiment when it comes to food. I think it's good. Most of the time. While Lily's smile doesn't waver, the slight change in her tone tells me that things have not gone so well in the past. Gone. And it's not like Hanako has many people to sample her cooking. Hang on. Was Lily waiting for me to go first? She didn't start eating until after I said it was alright. Her cheeky grin tells me that this was a deliberate action on her part. I'll have to try and work out how to get one over her in the future to make up for this. Well, it's good, and that's all that counts, right? Right. Lily, satisfied at not being the first to sample Hanako's creation, begins to consume the food in front of her. I find myself staring as I watch her chopsticks gently touch the plate, their tips delicately poking and tracing to quickly ascertain the positions of the food as she dexterously picks it up. One might think she were a child playing with her food if not for the situation, though she does it with such care and thoughtlessness that it's obvious this is simply how she eats this kind of meal. Not wanting to miss out, I start filling up myself. Hanako takes a different approach. waiting until Lily and I have our hands clear before quickly snatching up her share. Before long, the containers are empty, save for the still shut rice container. Thank you, Hanako. That was filling. No, thank you for the bread. Yes, it would have been a disaster if not for that. You're both welcome. But now I must be getting back. It's far too easy to be late after eating here. Yeah, I see what you mean. I think we'll just clean up here and then head off. Well then, good day. Lily leaves, her cane tapping away down the quiet hallway. Hanako and I quickly pack our things and stay seated, waiting for the bell. Together we stare out the window and into the endless azure sky. If it weren't for the pealing of the bell, I would have sworn that time had stopped. The urge to skip class rises in my gut. I shoot a glance at Hanako, who shows no sign of moving either. Not just yet. The interval between the warning bells and the end of lunch bells passes in the blink of an eye. We really should go. People will freak out and start a search party if we skip. Hanako sighs. You're right. Slowly she rises to her feet and I follow suit. Silently we make our way up the old stairs to the third floor and then to our classroom. At the door I take point and open the door ahead of Hanako, bowing my head down in apology in advance. I'm sorry we're late, teacher. I am greeted not by stern words, nor by an angered instruction to take my seat, but simply by the silence created by 15 or so students trying not to laugh. Mutao, ever tardy, has yet to arrive. However, the fact that Hanako and I have arrived together is blatantly obvious. Make that about 14 students trying and 1 student failing. The lovers return! Yeah, thanks. You can calm down now. I step through the door and realize that Hanako is firmly pressed against my back, hiding herself from the class. With my steps coming closer to my desk, she eventually breaks from me and stiffly walks to her own. Her efforts to mentally block everyone's presence from her mind are written fairly clearly on her face. Quickly checking the door for any signs of the teacher's arrival, I make a trip to Hanako's desk and whisper in her ear. Don't worry about Misha. She's always like this. I enjoyed myself today. Don't sweat it, okay? Hanako nods her head behind her folded arms, but still doesn't show her face. I yearn to stay and console her more, but Mutao picked this exact moment to enter the class halfway through his lecture, as if he started it in the hallway. Which, of course, is directly proportional to the charge, but inversely proportionally to the square of the distance. He's so engrossed in his speech that he doesn't even notice me sneaking back into my seat from Hanako's desk. While Mutao's spiel rambles on, Misha leans over to me. The teacher may not have noticed your tardiness, but I did. That much is obvious from the show you just put on. I have been instructed to let you off the hook for today, but only on one condition. Oh, what would that be? You have to help us this afternoon. I crane my neck to look over Misha's shoulder. Shizune is conveniently not making eye contact with me. Fine, just for today. I've already told you I'm not joining the council, remember? Of course! Doing so could be considered... She looks down at her notebook, obviously looking for her place in her script. Under duress and hence would be against regulations. How very strange of you to be considerate of the regulations now. Things should be done by the book. It's just that the book hasn't been written for every situation, so there are times when it can be ignored. And yet you two wonder why no one else wants to be in the student council. After poking her tongue out at me, Misha returns to her workbook, and we battle our way through the later half of the school day. Before I can even stand up, Misha and Shaizun had placed their hands on both of my shoulders. Hey, I said I'd help out. Damn. This is just insurance, Hisao. Insurance. Hisao? Hanako timidly tries to leave the room by circling around us, and I suddenly realize that this may be my one chance to escape. Oh, hey Hanako, what's up? Hey, what makes you think you've got time to chat? Oh, hey, relax. This won't take long. Sorry, Hanako, you were saying? I was going to go to the library, and I thought... Hanako's thumbs dance around each other, and her eyes flit around the room, looking everywhere but at us. Sorry, Hanako, but Hisao has come with us. He's got work to do. Oh, but you can help too if you like. So how about it, Hisao? How about you just back off? Huh? Put that in the book of regulations. I've done enough work for the council already. Hey, Shaizun, I know I said I'd help, but I forgot I'd already made plans. Besides, I helped out more than my fair share last week, didn't I? I promise I'll make it up to you some other time. Shaizun and Misha release their grip on me and have a long, deep, and silent conversation. Well, you have a point there. To be honest, we were only going to spend the rest of the budget on cakes. So if you're not there, it works out better. More cakes for us. Shaizun about faces and marches out the door, and Misha skips out after her. Well, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Last week those two were like bloodhounds, or prison guards. Or maybe prison guards bred from bloodhounds. I can't believe I just thought that, let alone saying it out loud. I think I need to move away from Kenji. Never mind. Anyway, should we head to the library? Sure. Hanako follows me through the still crowded halls to the library, using me as a shield. As soon as we are through the door, Hanako bolts for the counter, where Yuko is stacking books. Before I can catch up, Hanako has whispered something to her. You'd find that in non-fiction, but I don't know where exactly. If you want, I can look it up. Never mind. Hey Yuko, what's all this about? Oh, Hisao. Hanako was just looking for a book on... nothing. A book on nothing? In the non-fiction section? I was just... I shoot a glance at Yuko. She looks like she's about to, burst from the pressure of keeping Hanako's request secret. Yuko, what did... Chess! She's looking for a chess book. I make a mental note to never entrust Yuko with any important information. Yuko! I'm sorry, Hanako, it just slipped out. Well, it's not a secret anymore. Come on, I'll give you a hand. I should really brush up on my skills, too. Okay. Yuko disappears behind a counter in shame as Hanako and I wander into the depths of the non-fiction section. I know there's supposed to be a system for categorizing these books, but I don't see how anyone can decipher it without spending half of their lives researching it. That's probably why all the librarians I know are neurotic. Towards the end of the aisle, between a book on card tricks and some book on kids' games, stands a single book bearing the title Chess Tactics for Champions. Before I can reach for it, Hanako has the book in her hands, clutching it to her chest. Well, I guess that's yours then. Mind if I borrow it when you're finished? Sure. I just haven't really played against anyone but Lily before, so I thought... Damn. It's not like I was trying to beat Hanako deliberately or anything, but she seems to have taken it to heart. Then again, at least this means she wants to play me again. That's a plus, right? Huh. Well, it's not like I'm a master or anything. I just played a bit before. It occurs to me that I haven't told Hanako about my condition. I falter for a second, deciding to cover my tracks. That is a conversation for another day. Before I came here. Are you alright? Yeah, I was just remembering something. When I think about it, I shouldn't be afraid to tell Hanako about my condition and my time in the hospital. Judging by her scars, she probably spent a fair amount of time in a hospital bed. But for some reason I can't bring it up, at least not today, and not on short notice. Eager to break off the conversation, I grab a random book from the shelf. It's some book on the world's fastest roller coasters. Published in 1982. Well, not very up to date, but it should at least be interesting. Well, we both got books now. Should we go sit down? Hanako seems to accept my bluff, and we head to the reading nook in the back of the library. Neither of us say a word. We simply open our books and start reading. I try to read my book, but it would seem that in 1982 roller coasters weren't nearly as large as the ones built in the decades since. Most of the ones listed are made of wood. Something about that doesn't seem safe to me. If I'm going to ride on something potentially dangerous, I want it to be made out of steel or some kind of space-age alloy that has big words like titanium or ruthenium. I quickly lose interest and my eyes wander across the reading area to rest on Hanako. Hanako seems absorbed in her book, flicking back and forth through the pages as if confirming what she just read. I wonder if that's actually effective, or if she's just overloading herself. She unconsciously brushes her hair from her face, temporarily revealing her scar tissue. I'm still not sure about the protocol here. Is it right to ask her about her scars or her past? How long was she in the hospital? Does she still visit the doctor? These all seem like questions that you'd ask someone who just transferred to your school, translated into the local language. But to date, no one has directly asked me any of them. Well, except Rin, but I don't think I should use her as a guide to proper social behavior. From the time being, I'll keep my mouth shut. If someone wants you to know something, then they'll tell you. Trying to force the issue might drive Hanako back into herself. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have to close the library now. Already? I checked my watch. Somehow, as I was lost in thought, nearly 2 hours have passed. Do you want to check out those books? I can do it on the way out. But please. I'm done. I'll drop this one back on the way through. It wasn't as interesting as I first thought. Hanako marks her place with a slip of paper and stands up. The girls head to the counter and I return my book to what I think is the right shelf. Yuko scans Hanako's book with practiced precision, yet still manages to fumble it. Oh, there we go. Third time lucky. Since this is a non-fiction book, you can only have it for a week. That's okay. Yuko shuts down the library's computer and herds us out the door. Arr! I didn't think it was this late already. Arr. But you're the one that told us you had to close. Yes, but I know, but that was before I looked at the time. I'll see you later. Yuko bolts down the hall, her handbag trailing behind her like an awkward streamer. You're not supposed to run. I guess all librarians really are neurotic. Huh? Ah, never mind. I was just thinking that I've never met a librarian who organized their time, no matter how good they are with their books. Oh, I know what you mean. Hanako smiles in amusement. It wasn't meant to be a joke, but I must have reminded her of some other librarians. I have to get back. Yeah, me too. I didn't realize it was this late. Thanks for letting me hang out with you. No problem. I'm going to my dormitory room now anyways, so do you mind if I tag along? Okay. Hanako sets off ahead of me, and I need to jog a little to reach her side. We walk through the gardens, eventually arriving in front of the dormitory. Man, you walk pretty fast. I used to play in a soccer club and you managed to outpace me. I kind of regret saying that. It has less to do with her pace than with the fact that my condition has significantly worsened by fitness. Hanako's reaction is odd. I expected an awkward attempt to downplay her walking speed, but she just blushes while looking at her feet and smiling. Silence hangs in the air between us. That happens often around Hanako, but feels slightly different than usual this time. After a few seconds, I try to break the silence. Here you go. See you in class tomorrow? Sure. Hanako waves a short goodbye before pushing her way through the dorm's doors. I stand and look at them for a while before making my way to my own dormitory room. Alright. Chirping birds. Normally, this would be a good time to reflect upon the beauty of nature. But it is 6 a.m. Covering my head with the pillow, I slam my face into the mattress, hoping that the impact will send me instantly back to sleep. Futile. I toss and turn, but sleep simply won't return to me. Alright, nature, you've won. See? I'm getting up now. The lack of sleep weighs my mind down, and there's only one remedy for this: a nice hearty breakfast. It would be nice to be the first person here, to be the first to dig into a piping hot pile of food to sit wherever I desire. It would have been nice, but even my exceptionally early start has put me behind the most diligent students. I guess there are quite a few people that have early starts here for one reason or another. A group of students in sports clothes huddle around one table, eagerly discussing game plans between inhaling great gulps of food. Scattered around the hall are a number of bleary-eyed students. Bleary? I don't know if I ever saw that word before. Probably suffering from the same ailment as myself: noisy birds. And of course, there are the people that actually enjoy getting up this early. The ones with their bags stuffed with textbooks and completed homework. It's hard not to despise people like that, even more so when you're tired yourself. Picking out a familiar face from the thin crowd, I head towards the nearest table. Lily sits alone, delicately feeling her way around a small plate of cakes with her fork. It's almost a shame to interrupt her in her clockwork movements. I wonder, is this how a blind person zones out, simply moving in predetermined patterns learned over the years, just like how a sighted person would eat while reading a newspaper? Why would you think that? I don't know, that seems like a rude thought, to separate the two. They didn't classify them together. It's weird. Good morning, Lily. I didn't expect you to be here this early. Oh, Sal, you startled me. I didn't know you took breakfast this early. I don't. This is an exception to the rule. I greatly prefer to be late to school than early to breakfast. Lily gives a small sigh at my admitted tardiness as I begin eating my food. It doesn't take long for her to lapse back into her previous mindless nibbling. Each short motion lacks energy. I suppose this is similar to letting your eyes wander while performing any ordinary chore. I get it. We get it. She's blind. But after a few repetitions of the find food eats food cycle, Lily puts down her fork and dabs her lips with a napkin. Asada, do you mind if I ask you a question? Damn. All I want is a little food and about 4 hours of sleep. And nobody says, can I ask you a question for a simple question? Sure. Do you think of Hanako as a friend? Oh, that seems like a leading question. I guess so. Why do you ask? No real reason. I do have another question, though. Why is it that you think of her as a friend? This is well above my level. What is she expecting from me? I'm not really sure. I guess it's because she's a little different in the way she deals with people. Since I've known her, she hasn't really connected with anyone. She doesn't seem interested. Oh man, sorry about that. She doesn't seem interested in other people, and I think people are a little scared off by her appearance. Really? I thought that kind of thing was, well, discouraged here, discriminating and such. If I were to put it one way, she furrows her brow in thought, a move which makes me slightly anxious as to what she's plucking from her mind. I'd say that you're a little naive. Naive? I'd be insulted if not for the slightly cynical grin on her face. I see. While Yamaku has a stronger sense of community compared to other schools, it's far from being free of conflict. Rules cannot remove human nature, after all, only suppress it. That's something I've noticed, actually. Just little things like how certain people and cliques avoid each other in the hallways. It's no different than my old school, really. Even Lily and Shaizun could be considered bitter rivals, even though they both seem like fairly accepting people. Well, at least the Misha-tinted Shaizun does. Who knows what actually goes on with her fingers behind her glasses. I guess you're right, but when I first came here, everyone was a bit of shock. I kept on making mistakes, or at least thinking I was making mistakes. Like when we first met, and I said, "I see," to you. I didn't know if that was considered rude or anything, so I tried to just put it in the back of my mind, treating people any differently and that kind of thing. So I didn't. I told myself that Hanako and you and everyone else was just normal, and I tried to ignore the obvious. I talked to Hanako as if she were any other person, and so we became friends. At least that's how I think it happened. But you know, I feel guilty just from saying something like that out loud. As if it took extra effort to think of Hanako or you or anyone here as normal people. I don't think that's right. Asao, I think you are naive, but I also think that you are a good person. It is perhaps one of your better traits. I suppose. You can't take that as a compliment. Tell me, are you free tonight? If you don't count homework, then I am free as the breeze. In that case, would you care to join myself and Hanako for tea? I don't really have that much money at the moment, so going out isn't really... Oh, I didn't mean going out, just here this evening. You can access the classrooms in the evening here? No, that's not what I meant. Hanako and I often use my room for tea parties together. Please feel free to drop by after dusk. Sure, I see no problem with that. What's your room number? 225, room 25 on the second floor. Okay, sure. Well then, I had best be off. I have class representative duties to attend to after all. Until this evening, Hasao? Yeah, catch you later. Hang on, was I just invited to a girl's room after hours? Is that even allowed? There's a curfew here, but I never heard any rules about visitors in the dorm rooms. Even still, this is enough to get my sleep-deprived brain jump-started. Add that to a lukewarm breakfast and you have one hell of a pick-me-up. I grudgingly go to class, still a little excited at the prospect of breaking the rules. I feel a little like a kid planning to sneak out of his window at night. Well, maybe that's going a little too far, but when you compare an invitation to a party to 6 or so hours of lectures, I know which one wins. Misha and Shaizun do little to relieve my boredom either. For once they seem determined to actually complete Mitao's assignments. Nevertheless, the day eventually winds to a close. I hurry back to my room to wash up and comb my hair. Thankfully, I don't run into Kenji. Before long, I am leaving the boys' dorm. I nervously rap on the door marked 225, checking my watch once again. Is that you, Asao? The door is open. You can come in. Lily's voice lilts through the door and soothes my nerves. This is the first time I've been invited to a girl's room after dark. Even though I know there is no ulterior motive behind this invitation, it doesn't stop my mind running wild with possibilities. One guy, two girls in a dorm room, with a tea set. Well, that's when you become Mrs. Nesbit. When I put it like that, it sounds a little dodgy. Now you're just going to become Mrs. Nesbit. Do you see the hat? Toy Story reference. Given a small sigh to steady myself, I gingerly put up my hand on the handle and opened the door, craning my head to see inside. The door opens completely and I catch my first glimpse of Lily's room. Her furniture looks almost antique, but the bare walls and flat surfaces are barely decorated at all. In the center of the room sits a low table where I see a small tea set at rest. It seems that everything in this room has its place, possibly excepting the several piles of books stacked up against the wall. My sense of vision isn't the only one to be stimulated. The faint smell of something can be picked up in the air. Nail polish, perfume, makeup. It's hard to describe in any way other than girly. My eyes finish their quick sweep of the room before returning their position onto the girl. Lily sits next to the small table wearing very dark blue pajamas. That's a blue, it looks like a black. Dark blue pajamas with shorts that show off plenty of her alluring pale legs. Opposite her, Hanako sits adorned in a conservative light pink gown. Her hands are firmly fixed between her legs, her shoulders forward, and her head down as if trying to hide herself in it. It would be easy for her to do. It looks about 2 sizes too big for her. Well, in the picture it actually looks like it fits, except for this little part, I guess. Waves of flannel flow from her frame, making her look like a child playing dress-up in her parents' clothes. She looks up to confirm my identity, and the beginnings of a thin smile creep across her face, before vanishing so fast that I can't be sure they ever were there. There's no point in you standing in the doorway, Hasao. I take a step into the room, closing the door behind me. My, I'm afraid this really is a small room for the 3 of us. Would you like to take a seat? I slowly walk to the table and sit down, trying my hardest not to disturb anything along the way. I also can't help but steal a quick glance into Lily's top as I sit. To be robbed of sight would be a most terrible fate. Well now, how about some tea? Hanako, could you please pour? Sure. Sal, would you like... I would love some tea. Do you need a hand? No, I'm fine. Thank you. Lily finds it difficult to resist a smile at her companion's nervousness, something I can't really blame her for. Been a tiring day? Yeah. I relax at my place, opposite of the cabinet. To my left is the blue-clad Lily, and to my right sits the pink Hanako. Yes, tea. Here we go. The tea set on the table looks cute as well as practical, painted red with a floral motor. Yeah. It looks odd when contrasted with Lily's plain but generally sophisticated-looking furniture, which leads me to think that Hanako might have picked it up. There is a slight ting when Hanako accidentally clips the teapot on a cup as she is pouring. She breathes in sharply. She must be really nervous, as if it's not the kind of thing anyone would worry about. Hanako quivers at her mistake. Okay, Hanako. There's no need to be nervous. Hanako seems to find some confidence in Lily's reassuringly soft-spoken words and deftly pours the next 2 cups. Here you are, Asao. Lily. Hanako carefully places a cup and saucer in front of Lily and myself. I could get used to service like this. Thank you, Hanako. Yeah, thanks. You're welcome. Lily searches for her cup and upon finding it, sips delicately. I do the same. This tea tastes somewhat better than the tea we usually have at school. This is nice. It's so different from any tea I've had before. Looks like you picked the right one, Hanako. You've done well, even if it was a bold move. Hanako's smile returns, redoubled. Even with her blighted face, her shy smile couldn't be called anything but cute. I'm glad you like it. Hanako, finally beginning to relax, sips from her cup. Something about this makes me think about Lily's question at breakfast. Why am I friends with Hanako? Lily seems genuinely concerned for Hanako's well-being, but it's not like I can do anything to help her. As far as I can tell, her scars don't hold her back physically, and everyone I've met seems to have overcome their disabilities to some extent. I don't have any ulterior motives to hang out with Hanako. We just share similar interests. Isn't that enough? So, Asao, are you enjoying yourself? Lily's words break me out of my reverie, and I take a second to reconsider where I am. I'm in a room with two girls in their bedclothes. This is something to be enjoyed. Yeah, it's relaxing. Almost like I'm not in the school anymore. Do you do this often? Quite often, but not as often as we take tea in the school building. Considering they do that nearly every day, that's not a big surprise. As I move to take another sip from my teacup, I find it sadly empty. That was delicious. Thank you, Hanako. Lily? You're welcome. Yes, you're most welcome, Asao. It's nice to have a third person here. Well, anytime you need someone to fill that position, I'm always available. Always. One must be sure to get one's point across in these circumstances. Lily lets loose. Lily lets loose. It's almost a tongue twister. A yawn, which she unsuccessfully hides with her hand. Pardon me, I think I'm a little tired. I think we're all a little tired. My, how astute we are tonight, Hanako. We really should head to bed. We all have class tomorrow. Yeah, I should go. Thank you for your presence, Asao. Thanks. You'll come again? Not even a whole army could stop me. I'm impressed by your determination, Asao. Either way, you're right. We'd best get going. I stand up and make for the door. Hanako gingerly stands up behind me. I stop and face her. Are you coming with me? Hanako instantly blossoms into full blush. No, not this room isn't. It's okay, I was only joking. Oh, okay. Good night. Good night, Hanako. Good night, Asao. Night all. And with that, our tea party finishes. I'm still not sure what it is that Lily wants me to do for Hanako, but I don't want to let her down. I wait until the door has closed behind us before turning to Hanako. Hey, Hanako, you know you don't have to be nervous around me or anything. I mean, we're friends, right? Right, we're friends. If you ever want to hang out or anything, just let me know. We still need to have that chess rematch, remember? Sure. But I don't think you'll win. It wouldn't be any fun if it was easy. Hanako seems to give a muted laugh, but she could have just as easily been exhaling. Good night, Asao. With that, Hanako quickly retreats into her room, located next to Lily's. I start to walk back to my dorm, but the simple act of walking seems to drain me of my energy. I barely make it to my room before I am hit by a wave of exhaustion. I kick off my shoes, fall into bed, and fall asleep by the time my head hits the pillow. Alright. Alright. Alright, I think that's going to do it for this video. I want to thank you for watching. Feel free to leave a comment. I hope you have yourself a good day. I love you. And this is Sweet Tooth, signing off.